Good evening. Welcome to Your Mental Health Matters. My name is Crystal, and I'm your host for this evening, brought to you by ONV. All right, Miss Tammy, we right back at it again.
Right back at it
Ye-
for Mental Health Awareness Month,
Yes, the
the
whole
month of
month of
May.
May.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
So tonight we are just going to keep it broad, when it comes to mental health. There's so much we can tap into, but we just want to kind of hit the high points when it comes to why we believe mental health is so important.
why it's important and just putting more awareness on mental health in general and giving people resources, especially
Yes.
for the community, if not further abroad.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I guess the main reasons when it comes to mental health is that you got to take care of yourself. Not only your mental, you got to take care of your emotional health. And then what we were talking about off air, your spiritual health.
Yes.
That's something we don't really tap into as much, but it's all connected when it comes to the holistic aspect of taking care of your whole being.
Right.
So let's tap into the spiritual piece just a little bit.
Okay.
What does that mean? What does that look like when we say you got to take care of your spiritual health as well?
I think, and this is me speaking, I think that talking about mental health and holistic health, which holistic health covers the mental, the physical, emotional, and a lot of people tend to leave out the spiritual
Yes.
because they don't want to offend other people. However, we still need to put that piece in there
Right.
because there is a piece missing. And in order for us to heal wholly,
Yes.
we're going to have to acknowledge that spiritual piece for the foundation
Yeah.
because everything starts from the spiritual.
Yeah, very true.
Yes.
I know in counseling, of course, I'm a licensed mental health counselor. When I get a client, I can't start off with the spiritual stuff,
Right.
of course. But if I have a client that wants to tap in, like talk about it, tap into it, I'm game for that because I am a believer. I'm a Christian.
Right.
So when I have a client come in and want to talk about the spiritual aspect of it, I love that.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate that in some of the state laws,
Right.
you have to wait until the client
Right.
brings it up before you bring it up. However, I've learned that you can still pray for that client without them
Yeah.
even knowing about it.
That's right.
And you can always or still be there in a sense without, I guess, badgering it over their heads. And then eventually they'll be more open and get that rapport with you
Yeah.
and then start asking more about how do I develop my spiritual health. So that I think that's the most important piece
Right.
in holistic care. And then individuals will find, I guess, it more helpful if they
Yeah.
have all aspects of the holistic, to be well.
Yeah. And not feeling lost.
Right.
That's the kicker, is that a lot of times people
So-
feel lost.
Feel lost, but then how do they get to that spiritual point? And it honestly starts when they're young.
Yeah.
So it's up to the individuals who are raising kids, babies. You have to start at that age
Yeah.
with all wellness,
That's right. So when we have a breakdown in our mental health, what do we start to notice? If you're noticing, okay, something just doesn't feel right.
So some of the symptoms, I would say exhaustion,
That's a big
depression.
one. Yes.
and what that looks like for it looks different in other people or in different people. So sometimes it may show up as sleeping all the time, sleeping
Right.
too much. Sometimes it may show up as not sleeping at all, the insomnia, or having a different personality, if you will, acting different towards
Right.
family members. And they notice, your vibe is not the same.
That's right.
So it shows up in different ways for different people.
That's it.
I was just listening not too long ago. If you're getting too hungry, too tired, too lonely, or too angry,
That's right.
that's an imbalance of everything that's going on with you. And that can cause you to get in some type of breakdown, mentally, physically and emotionally.
It's important to listen to your body.
Yes.
Like, pay attention.
Getting rest.
Yes. Be in tune with yourself.
Foods.
Because your body's going to let you know something's off.
Right.
So I look at the functioning. You know, if it's impacted where you're not doing well in school, you know, like you just said, health-wise, body aches, headaches, not sleeping well, the irritability, you know, relationships are suffering because of something's off with your mental health, your emotional health. It's all connected. So pay attention. It's important to listen to your body because your body's going to let you know.
It's going to let you know, but then what are we going to do
about it?
And then is it going to take an outside person to let you know, hey, what's going on? I think you need to reel it back a little bit and maybe check in with yourself and see what you need to do to, I guess, get back in focus, back in balance. Because sometimes I think if we're going through things on our own or by ourselves, we don't necessarily pick up on that and just think maybe it's just the stress of the day or stress of the week. However, we do need to have those moments of self-care and reevaluation. I would say weekly, if not daily.
Yes.
It should be daily.
It should be. It should be. Yes.
Yeah. So that's important. And I think the as far as the physical health, that plays a direct part in our mental health. And we say that all the time. We talk all the time about that because it's a proven research and fact that endorphins, when you get those endorphins moving from exercising, whether it's just walking or finding something that you like to do, when you kick up those endorphins, those are the good feel good hormones, and it changes your mood.
That's right.
And that could be just for 20 minutes a day. But we encourage people to get more active, get more physically active, and you don't need a gym membership to do that. I mean, a good pair of gym shoes will do the trick.
I love that. I love that. Another thing that's important too is having a routine. Having routine. I don't know if people had noticed back during COVID when it first hit, back in 2020, we were all thrown off our routine. And that increased a lot of anxiety in a lot of us. You know, kids weren't, in school. People were working from home. So we were thrown off from our routine. So I encourage, have a really good routine when it comes to functioning. So, from your morning routine, from during the day until your night time.
Especially with kids, little kids. I think that's beneficial for them as well as the adults because too much chaos, that kicks that stress hormone again. And then you're just kind of running sporadic.
That's right.
And chaotic. So, yes, I definitely agree with that for young people.
I love that.
Yeah. I know one thing you mentioned, COVID. One thing that helped me.
Okay.
And people are going to probably fall out in their chair.
No, go ahead.
What calmed me down was Little House on the Prairie.
Okay.
And the Waltons.
Okay.
And
it was comforting. It was comforting. Yes.
Yeah, because those are like feel good home shows. And family shows. And I kid you not, I was watching them like daily.
I love that.
Doing the reruns. So that's what helps me.
That was grounding you. Yeah. Okay. So when you are taking care of your mental health, you're going to notice your relationships are improving, your self-esteem increases, you're thinking more clearly, your thoughts aren't all over the place. You have a sense of inner peace. That peace is something that you should not allow anybody to disturb. And a lot of times we give up that power to other people when it comes to, our jobs, when it comes to stressful relationships. It's like you have the control in that, but you're giving it away by allowing people to, disturb your peace like that.
I think that comes with learned coping skills.
Yes.
So if you don't have the good coping skills as you're growing and developing, and as we become adults, you just won't know how to handle it. And as we speak about the coping skills, adults tend to, and young people as well, tend to go to the alcohol and drugs, which just increases the imbalance of your mental health. So I think we need to encourage better coping skills at a younger age, even elementary school age, on how to handle life situations, you know, upsetting circumstances, teaching kids how to handle those things without losing it or without keeping it internal.
Yeah. So it's all about that emotional regulation, keeping your emotions intact. Because a lot of times people don't understand, you know, your emotions, you have the power over them. And a lot of times we allow our emotions to get the best of us. So being able to really pay attention to if you're starting to feel angry, if you're starting to feel sad, feeling overwhelmed, stressed, you got to have some really good healthy outlets for it.
Healthy outlets, but we have to also consider that depending on certain circumstances,
Right.
like what we've encountered as kids,
Yeah.
you know, any traumas that they've had as a young person and have not dealt with it.
That's right.
So that's going to show up differently,
Yeah.
you know, in your late teens, young adulthood.
That's true.
And I think those things need to be addressed, like the bullying or unstable home lives. And if kids are internalizing that throughout their childhood, they basically become a time bomb, you know, when they're young adults and don't know how to handle that.
That's very true.
That's important for us to look at. Family life, what's going on at school, and addressing those things. I'm not saying that everything will be eradicated
Right.
when we know about it. However, we need to encourage protection of our kids, number one.
Yes, come on.
And then when we can't protect them, addressing those ailments.
Yeah. You mentioned protection. You know, one thing we talked about in our last segment, our last show was social media. How much of that impacts our mental health?
A lot.
It's, yeah, especially if you have kids.
Yes.
You know, go ahead.
And no, I want you to go ahead first.
I was just getting ready to say is that when kids are on social media, again, there's got to be limits. There got to be boundaries to that. Because if you're noticing your kids, you know, behaviors are changing, you know, they're keeping to themselves, they're being a little bit more secretive, more than usual, you know, you got to pay attention to that.
And the kids are getting younger and younger. They're toddlers that are using electronic devices where they're missing out on the communication with a person. And that's a dangerous setup. Because they're getting too dependent on these electronic devices where they can't communicate in certain circles or know how to handle certain situations without having that device.
Yeah.
And even the gaming, it's popular and kids like to do it, and it kicks off certain hormones, feel-good hormones. However, when you're put in a situation where you need social skills, what do you do?
Come on.
And it's a lot of the young people that are suffering from that. And unfortunately, they tend to go to negative treatments.
Yeah, outlets.
And that can be detrimental for the whole community. And we see that with the gun violence.
Come on.
Yeah.
I love our show. I really do, because this is just so informative. You know, this is just a lot of great information that we're providing our community. Because the thing when it comes to mental health is we want to destigmatize. Like, the more we talk about it, the more people will feel comfortable to say, I need help.
And I think you and I are both passionate about helping people get to that point of well-being.
Yes.
And yes, we do need to talk about it more, especially in the Black community, to make it not so stigmatized.
Yes, come on.
And I know we could go for hours. I know we only have a few minutes.
Right. It's all right. Yeah.
A few things, but there's so much that needs to be tapped into when it comes to mental health and mental health awareness. There's another thing where people think that just get the medication or get a pill and solve that problem, but
that's not always the answer. That's
realizing is, you know, that's gonna dissolve and then go out your system eventually, and then you still have that problem. So what are we doing to address the problem, the ailments,
the core
of
we got to get
it?
to it.
And you have to dig deep, and it may be something from your childhood, some trauma. We were talking about that the last time, with the childhood trauma that is not addressed, and I think that plays a big part in our mental pandemic that's happening in the world.
And I know people are scared when it comes to their trauma. Don't want to face it. They don't want to talk about it. You know, when things had happened to you in your past, we got to be able to face it. Because if you don't, it's going to come out in a very unhealthy way. So the more you're able to face whatever fears of your past, just imagine how much you can do better for yourself.
Right. And it's about, like you said, uncovering that.
Yeah.
Yes,
you got to make yourself uncomfortable.
Yes.
You got to make yourself uncomfortable to grow, to progress.
It hurts to uncover.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's the first step in healing.
Mm-hmm.
And everything does not require medication.
That's right.
There are some ways that you can do natural type healings. And I'm not saying all mental health issues come from trauma.
That's true.
Because
Come on.
there are some chemical imbalances that are you just born into, hereditary.
Yeah.
So I do want to make that point. You do need to have professional treatment
Right.
for those types of things, professional evaluations and assessments, and then going from there.
That's right. And so when it comes to facing your fear, it's a matter of having a safe person, you know, a safe environment. And that could be your doctor. That could be, you know, a family member. That could be your school guidance counselor. That could be your next door neighbor. You know, it could be, you know, your pastor. So when you're able to express yourself and say, I need help, the next step is, okay, how can we go about getting that help?
Right. And what I noticed was, and I'll let you finish that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Too, but what I noticed, especially in the Black community, is that there are not a lot of Black therapists, especially around here in Indiana, Fort Wayne. And for young people that I've talked to, because I've worked with young people a lot, they have told me, well, I want to talk to you because so-and-so doesn't understand me.
Yeah,
and
you can relate.
And I can relate. And I try to relate and stay in tune with what they're talking about and what's going on in the young person's world. Because I do know that there's a deficit and a disparity. And unfortunately, when we have those disparities in the healthcare professionals or mental health professionals, you're not going to reach everybody that you need to, or everybody that wants treatment and wants to talk to someone, because they're not going to open up because of history.
That's right.
Plain and simple.
That's
because
right.
of history, they don't trust.
That's a big one. That's a huge,
the other persons. Yeah.
So yeah, we got to have that trust, you know, and so being able to have that safe person or that safe space to be able to get the, you know, to deal with whatever you're going through. So if you can't find that person, what are some things that a person can do to start tapping into that healing?
The healing, and if you're talking on your own, well, I would say for family members, especially those, and we do have to address suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideations, and we want to put out that number in case there's someone listening that may need help. That's that 988. I would say family members check in with each other. I think that's the most important thing, because as an individual, if I'm living on my own, and I'm going through some mental, health issues, I'm not going to say that I'm not okay. You know what I mean? So it's up to some of the family members or close friends to just check in. And then if you see something that's off, try to address it that way. If you feel that that person needs some professional help, 911, 988. Well, I don't want to put those together. So 988 is the suicidal hotline.
Right.
911 is for emergency purposes. But I do believe both can get you to the other as needed. So checking in with each other.
That means a lot, because you just never know. I mean, a person may not say, something's wrong, but if you can go to that person and say, you know what, you're on my mind. I see. That means a lot. You just don't know how much being able to go to that person, especially a young person, if they don't have that supportive adult in their life, and if you're a school teacher or a Sunday school teacher, whomever, and you're want to make sure that child is okay, just a matter of just showing that you care.
Right.
Man.
And I think kids are missing that. On a greater level than even a decade ago.
Come on.
Yeah. So home life is important, a stable home life.
Yes. And that's why I'm so like big on the Boys and Girls Club and Big Brothers Big Sisters programs, because they offer that support for the young people, for families, you know, to give them that support that they need. So that's another resource that we have that people probably don't realize, the Big Brothers Big Sisters that we have here.
So what else can we share with the
Yeah.
audience there?
So another outlet that you can utilize is journaling.
Yeah.
There's so much you can do with that. So again, if you don't want to physically talk, verbalize, you know, how you feel with this person over here, write it down.
Oh, yeah.
Draw it out, color it out. You know, so much power is in the pen.
That's right.
That's it.
That's right. And listen to the children, because kids are always going to maybe not tell you in the words that you think
Through their
they should,
behaviors. Yeah.
but it's going to show up in their behavior. Kids always tell on themselves and how they act.
All the time. So being able to journal, being able to do some mindfulness activities, and what I mean by that is just being able to keep yourself grounded, being present, because a lot of times we allow our past to pull us back.
Right.
A lot of times, and you can't do that, because the more you live in the past, you're not living for now.
Right.
You're not going to grow.
And I would also add, for parents, I'm not sure on time, but for
good.
parents, put the phones down, because kids need that connection, emotional connections. And you can't do that with electronic devices. Check in with the kids, check in with yourself.
Yes.
Get yourself healthy, because if you're not healthy, or you know, not living properly in front of them, then you shouldn't expect them to.
That's right.
But yeah, I encourage them to get more involved with the kids outside of devices.
And we're talking about generational curses. The way to break that is you got to do it differently, because it starts with you. So if you know that your parents weren't there for you and you got your own babies, it's all a matter of doing it differently.
Do it differently
to get a different outcome. And the more you recognize that, man,
the more you recognize it, but then being willing to ask for help.
Yeah.
That's important.
We can't emphasize that enough.
Right.
You got to ask for help, because again, nobody is a mind reader.
Right.
It be, you know,
and everybody's experience is different.
Very true.
Yeah,
Very true.
My experience, if we had the same experience, because of how I was raised and how you were raised, we're going to handle it differently. So it might not mean as much to you as it would me, and it may break me, but you could be like, oh, that's nothing. You know what I mean?
Right.
But we have to take that into consideration. And then also getting back to the physical and the nutritional.
Yes, that's a big
because
part
that's
too.
important. We're eating a lot of junk food, a lot of processed food,
Right.
which is not good for our bodies. And I'm not the healthiest person, but I do know.
I mean,
that's
come
a
on.
blueprint for
Yes.
being
Come
well.
on.
And that's the holistic portion that I'm passionate about. We have to tap into the physical, nutritional, emotional, mental, and spiritual part of everything to be a whole being.
Yeah. I mean, even what you're watching,
Oh my gosh. Hearing, seeing.
everything,
Yes.
it impacts your mental health.
Yes.
So if you have a kid who's playing video games, violent video games,
And they don't know how to, especially little kids.
right?
They don't know the concept of long term, you know, as far as death. When they
Yeah.
see it on TV, they don't know that, you know, that could be temporary. But I'm talking in real life. They don't know how to correlate that with TV or video version of it. So I think that's playing a huge impact
Right.
on their
Come
mental
on.
health.
Come on.
And from what I hear, you know, the teachers talking about with these young kids, it's terrible. And parents, again, or caregivers have the power or the control to, you know, put a limit to that stuff.
That's right. So what do you think we need to do when it comes to us? I'm talking about our people in the Black community. What do you think we need to do to get people to really see how big this issue is?
I think we're talking about it as often as we can, giving them the resources as often as we can, whether
Right.
it's at the churches or in the schools.
Yes.
However, I think the school systems need to be more receptive of us talking about this.
Thank you. Yeah.
Especially for minorities and in the inner city schools. Be more receptive and maybe have, segments once a month for the staff as well.
Oh, that's huge. Come on.
students.
Education. Yeah.
Because again, you have an imbalance with there are not enough Black teachers to Black students.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying that the other races don't mean well.
Right.
They
We're
do,
not saying that.
but then a lot of them are not culturally educated, and we need that to reach our kids.
Yeah.
So
that's huge. I know with the Society of Black Mental Health Professionals, I know that was something that we've been trying to do is get into the school systems, and it's just so hard, to get in there.
I don't know if it's as hard as they make it seem.
Right.
I just think that nobody wants to deal with it. Kids are here until maybe 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and send them home. Let the parents deal with it. But you have a lot of bullying going on in school. You have a lot of drug interactions at school and influences that need to be addressed at school.
That's right. And another thing too, again, I'm glad we're talking about this. You can't have a blind eye. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of times what people want to do. Just turn the other way and act like it's not there.
My business.
Yeah. You got to make it your business. I mean, it is what it is because our children are suffering because of it.
They're suffering on a great level. And I'm not saying you have to tell every household how to live.
Right.
But try to help where you see the need.
Yeah, no judging.
Right.
No just assuming. You know what I'm saying? We're all people. Nobody is perfect. But my thing is, you got to make yourself open enough to receive.
And I think it comes to the question of, or the statement of such a time as this, what are we going to do? Because we've been marching, we've been holding up signs, we've been talking about it. Especially with the mass shootings.
Yeah, wow, yeah.
People are still talking, and every time something happens, we're still on the streets again, but nobody's doing anything. So the question is, on a broader level, not just local, what do you care most about? The children and the well-being of people? Or do you care more about that dollar of making guns and continuing this cycle of mental health? You can say that it's a mental health and that's it.
Right.
But it's not.
Man, so much more.
It's so much more. And if the money is still going to continue to rule this world or this country,
right,
then we're still heading in a world of destruction. So that's my little piece, and I know we don't have a whole lot of time.
It's all right. It's okay
to go into that.
So we want to kind of go ahead and wrap up. Just saying how important mental health is that we're here. This show provides a platform to educate, to inform, and empower people about their mental health.
Right.
And again, I appreciate ONV for what they're doing here because this is a beautiful thing to be able to get online and to have professionals talk about, how to seek help. And that's what it's about. It's all about making your life better because you don't have to suffer. My thing, I believe, is a choice.
Well, to some, because you have to consider that if they're not in their right state of
Very
mind,
true, very
mental
true.
health, then they're not gonna understand that they need some help. So I get it on both ends. And my name is Tammy, and I'm with CM Heart to Soul, where we focus on holistic health.
Yes.
So mind, body, spiritual, mental. That's what we're here for.
All right. And my name is Crystal Kelly. I am with the Society of Black Mental Health Professionals, and what we do is educate the community about mental health. I'm at Oak Tree Guidance and Wellness, where I see individual clients when it comes to whatever issue that they want to talk about. So again, I appreciate ONV for providing this platform. And tune in. We're here every first and third Friday of every month to talk about a particular mental health topic. So again, we're here. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. So yes, please, we're here. That's just tune in. We're here.
And we'll see you next time. Best in Wellness.